when I set my own bearings up, like a trick that I learned is like, I pop the caps off of every bearing. I've done that for years, and that helped my bearings last so much longer. But also I take like, if I have regular Bronsons or my Bronsons or anyone's Bronsons, they come with oil in them already.
Gotcha.
So I just throw them in a cup of like Windex or something and degrease them. I don't want grease in there because the grease attracts dirt. Like if it's dry and it rolls, that's perfect. The grease or whatever dirt gets in will fall out.
I ride for Bones Swiss bearings. I always pop the shield off. I know a lot of people do that too. And you gotta love that sound when they're broken in, you know? It's more like a hot rod. There's nothing worse than a board with the bearing covers still on, you know? It sounds like you got it from a department store or something.
Love that sound. Bones bearings, pop the shields off. I can't stand the shields. Sometimes they'll pop off and they'll start rattling by themselves, so I do that. I've been skating these same bearings. I mean, I skate the beach, which is sand and everything, and I've been skating these bearings for probably over a year. Same bearings. You've got to have that sound. You've got to have that sound, man. That's the best sound.
I ride on delay Swiss bearings. Thanks, Joey Brzezinski.
Bronson Raws. So not even trying to like sell it or anything, like I've literally gone through water with these things, like board gone in water, like spun them around, did the whole thing, didn't even clean them, and they've still worked. So like, I don't know what it is about these shieldless ones, but they just work. So like, I'll run these until maybe one blows out, but it's like pretty rare. Like it takes a while to like mess these up, so. Crispy. I ride these for like, it's probably like 8 months on these. I like that they're loud. That's the point. They're raws.
You know what I did do? I take the shields off of my Swiss too, but
I've been riding them, I think, like, I got them, I think, like, last year. So they go. They come shieldless. Cutting out an inconvenient factor of having to pop every shield like I always have to do. And if it's mine, I want it to be my way. They sent me mock-ups with the shields on. I was like, no.
I pop the caps every single time, no matter what. Even if I'm in the biggest hurry, I always pop off the shields. It's the way to go. It's the way to go. I don't know what it is, you know, people got their rumors and fables about it, but I personally think it makes the bearings better and faster and last longer and look cooler for sure. That's how a bearing should look.
I popped the shields. I guess I just saw other pro skaters doing it when I was younger, so I thought it was cool.
Let's get the logo boards. Spitfire wheels, 50 millimeter, park burners, shake gun bearings.
Well, I don't have a whole lot more to add than what all those dudes said. I guess first and foremost, most of those clips came from the 9 Club. So I would like to thank those guys just for kind of, I mean, they set the platform, they did the interviews, I just grabbed from it. It was a very one place that I could get a lot of information like that, so it made it easy to kind of source those guys. And that's because they actually do get skaters talking. I sourced some other information from some other places, but most of that was the 9 Club, so shout out 9 Club. You guys are real ones for that. However you feel about the 9 Club, whatever. That's where I got the footage. So in the past, on making some review videos about either Bronson rods or even wheels, people noticed that I had shieldless bearings in my wheels, or I was reviewing a shieldless bearing like a Bronson rod. And I have received negative comments about shieldless bearings, like, you know, this one and that one and maybe this one. But yeah, I have received negative comments about rocking shieldless bearings in the past. So I thought this might be an opportunity, it's raining again, to make a little video covering such a small little part of skateboarding, which is shieldless bearings. Because to some people it just blows their mind why you'd rock a bearing without any shields on it. Well, maybe some of these other pro skaters will open your minds a little bit. And if you can still say that like all these dudes are wrong, well, I can't really take you as a serious person or open-minded person. At least about when it comes to the point of bearings in your skateboard. Okay. So yeah, in those little clips, as you saw, which probably went on for far too long, but I was just trying to get a point across that you could see covered kind of a broad range of pros, from like OG guys to current guys to every kind of dude in between. And I saw a lot more too. I did much more research, looked at people's setups, looked at footage, and I'd say more so than not, you saw bearings that didn't have shields on them. So I just kind of picked these ones that I thought they were good and filmed well and everything like that. Also, as you can see, it covered a wide range of bearing brands. Most of the three ones that I really saw was either, you know, Bones, Swiss, popping the shields off. Bronson Raws, that way it didn't just exclude like, oh, you're just talking about Raws. It's not just talking about Raws. So you got Bones, and then the Bronsons, and then Ondelays were a few dudes in there. And I actually learned that Ondelay offered a raw version, which might just be a shieldless version of their regular truck, and that could kind of go into what Jamie Floyd was talking about of soaking it in Windex so you can get all that lube off of there, degreaser, so they're just dry. So yeah, I actually learned something from making this video. We should always keep trying to learn things, try different things, and shieldless bearings might be one of them for the haters out there. If you haven't tried it, then I guess you can't really, I don't know, have an opinion on it. Yeah, it doesn't only go for bearings that are sold without shields. You can pop the shields off of any bearing. You can do the same thing to anything. Back in the day, I always had reds because they were the cheapest, and I popped the shields off of them, and it was just normal to me, and it still is. I can't ride a board with shields on. As Brian Anderson said, it makes it sound cheap. It makes it sound weird. It almost makes it sound like cruiser board, like you have soft wheels on it. But, you know, once again, this is all my opinion. If you have a different one, that is fine. I'm not saying this is fact. I'm just saying opinion. Another thing you could be saying is like, well, these dudes get the bearings for free, so they don't even have to worry about it and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that is true, but as many of those dudes said in there, they're using the same set of bearings for quite a while, 8 months, a year, whatever. You know, Chris Roberts in the sand, similar to me being in the Pacific Northwest, where there's always wet conditions. It's not just dirt, it's mud that can get into your bearings, especially when you're skating curbs and you're sliding. It's just, you know how it goes, it can get in there. So it's not just because they're pros, they can just pop a new set in. They're skating them for a long time. They're not just popping new bearings into wheels, and that's why they're good. No, they're using them. So unless they're just liars and you refuse to believe any of this information, that's on you. That is totally on you. That's cool. Actually, last night I just cleaned one of my first sets of Bronson Raws. Maybe it's the second set. I just finally cleaned them. I don't ever clean bearings, but I did clean them. They're probably, I don't know, at least 2 years old, coming close to 2 years old. And then this is what they looked like before, and this is what they looked like after. And you can see it's a pretty big difference. And got them in here right now. Let's do what they were doing. Hello. Yeah, they're spinning fine. They're spinning fine. Just leave that back there. And I got my other set too. I figured since I was in bearing cleaning mode, I'd clean them too, so I'll kind of show you how I did it. So yes, this is like just a vape juice bottle I had laying around. So I threw the bearings in there, and all I had was isopropyl alcohol. I didn't have any Windex, which would probably work better. And yeah, I did leave these in overnight. But as I was just kind of sitting around, I was just shaking them up. And these are probably older than the other set, but you can see like the dirt and grime that came off of there. And that's just with alcohol, which, you know, once I pull these out and dry them off and I'll let them sit, the alcohol will evaporate, so it's still better than nothing. And no, these, same with the other ones, these are not going to get re-lubed afterwards. I'm going to keep them dry because that's how they were intended to be, is dry. But yeah, the Windex could work better. I can't say anything about that because I haven't tried it with Windex. But yeah, the theory is when your bearings are dry and there's no lube in there, the dirt that comes in will then exit. Basically, it won't have anything to stick to. It won't stick around. It won't create like a paste that's inside that can also be more abrasive over the long term because it can start wearing away at the bearing. So I think there is definitely truth to that. It just makes sense in my simple brain. But the bearings will still get dirty, as you can see. But these have never, this is the first time these have ever been cleaned in quite a while. And these get skated a fair amount, just like all the other bearings. Sometimes I don't feel like swapping bearings, so I just leave them in the wheels of wheels that I know I'm gonna skate again, like those Annie Anderson wheels, so I could set up that 8.5 deck. So yeah, they'll still get dirty. So you still have to clean them. But when they're shieldless like this, and you don't have to pop the shields off, they do make them easier to clean, because if the shields did everything, then how would anything get in there to begin with? And a lot of bearings, they have that back side that's open, so it's inside the wheel. Everything should be pretty sealed up, but they still get dirty. So if you pop the shields off your bearings, there's still dirt and grime in there. Well, then it has really no way to escape that well, especially with the lube in there, so it does get gunked up. Thing is you can't see it because the shields are on there. So you don't know what's on the inside. It's like a fully dressed lady, you could say. You don't know what it looks like underneath. That's what shieldless bearings are. So take those shields off. And then, you know, let those bearings free. Let those bearings breathe. Let them soak up the sun. Let them do what they were intended to do. Roll freely. Yeah, you could say, you know, if you don't believe me, you don't believe all those pros. Even the local Joe in your area might do it.
What?
But yeah, all joking aside, it all comes down to personal preference. I'm just saying, if you haven't tried it, maybe you should think about trying it. If you have an old set of bearings, pop the shields off, soak them up, you know, get them moving freely again, and then don't put the shields back on. Just try it out. You don't have to go buy raws or anything like that. You can try it on another set, although you won't get the full benefit because, yeah, raws are my favorite. Personal preference. It all comes down to personal preference. If I might have left something out, or if you just think this is stupid and I'm playing dumb for rocking shieldless bearings, and so are the rest of those guys, just leave it in the comments. I like to hear what everybody has to say about stuff like this, and I like to respond back, whether it's negative or positive. Some comments are unrespondable, honestly, but yeah, I give it my best effort to respond back to every single comment, and I check, and I do like to hear from you guys, and I do like to talk with you guys. And yes, that I am calling out smaller channels, skate channels mainly, because that's kind of what I'm in the realm of, because it's trendy. Maybe it's a trendy thing, I don't know, but I see you guys are not responding to your commenters. I just feel like if somebody takes the time to respond to your video, even if it's negative, I feel like they deserve a response. And I feel like that you channels know who you are. So I think we can do better as small. Obviously I can't say for big, you know, your channel gets bigger, maybe it's super hard. But I see a lot of small channels. Why would anybody want to interact with your video if you're not going to interact back with them? That's my 2 cents. This is a video about bearings without shields. And I gotta go fire up the grill, and I will see you guys on the next one.
Great Scott! Questions?